What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports. Today's the day we're going to break down the association, the only league that's got more questionable calls and questionable players. JSU, what did you think of the call at the end of the Milwaukee Phoenix game last night?
You know what? I wasn't watching that game,
Okay.
so I couldn't tell you because that was one of the games I did not watch. Outside of Devin Booker, I didn't have much from that game. I was really into the Denver game because I had a ton of Jokic, and I had some. I had MPJ before all the news kind of broke, and then I got off of him on DK, so I didn't have him, but I still had him on FanDuel. So I was kind of sweating him out in that double overtime game. And before that, I was really into the Sixers game. So I was kind of really focused on those games. I wasn't focused on the Milwaukee game.
No, a lot of fun games last night. The Nuggets game was great. The Sixers game was great. And that Suns game was a lot of fun. Did you happen to see it, Travis? And did you have an opinion on the call on PJ Tucker?
No, I missed it. And, there was a lot going on last night. And I had my DFS teams were fine. Like, I did well, right? NBA was good overall. But baseball, when you have like a 17% on play, he was on the cash chart. Paul DeJong, when he hits 2 home runs early on, like your focus shifts over there for a second. Right?
Okay.
I was definitely eyeing up the Angels baseball game, watching Bundy, and Bundy let me down a little bit. But when you get a good start to baseball, right? I think in the first hour, I had like 84 points, right? And some lower owned home runs. You definitely shift the focus there, especially with the late night hammer coming in, and it's supposed to be a good one, right? It's the chalk, it's supposed to smash, and then it doesn't. So I was set up for a good night. I still had a good night overall, but obviously could have been better if the Angels would have got there.
Mangone just throwing in a nice plug for the cash chart. Just trying to stroke himself a little bit. That's good though, Mangone. I like it. Yeah,
someone's got to talk up the cash chart. Someone's got to give it some love.
Hey, I gave it its due in chat last night when someone was trying to shame it. I came in and defended the cash chart.
I appreciate that, JSU. I'm all for the tournament plays. I love the pivots and stuff, but don't tell me Gabe Vincent was on the cash chart. There's no chance that was. That's called a leverage play in this business,
Gabe Vincent wasn't on no cash chart. I could have told you that without even looking at the cash chart. There was no way Mangone had Gabe Vincent on the cash chart. Like, zero chance. Gregory Russo, when am I not on point? What are we talking about here? Come on, Greg. I'm always on point. Gee, I know I haven't been on the show in a little bit, though, but come on, Greg.
No, we know JSU is going to bring it. And let's jump right into the first game. Orlando Magic 18-39, 28-28 against the spread. Head to Atlanta to take on the Hawks, who are 31-26 now, 31-25 against the spread. Nate McMillan's made all the difference with this team, or the health of Bogdan Bogdanovic. Maybe a little bit of both here, but this Atlanta team's definitely turned it around. Most recently, they beat Indiana by 12, and now they're laying 12 to an Orlando team that obviously went for a reboot here. The lineup is not exactly what we'd expect, and now they're laying 12. Originally, I was looking towards grabbing the 12 points here, but I don't know if I can do it. Might just be a complete stay away. The total here is 217. We'll start with you, Travis. What do you think?
Yeah, not my favorite game on the card. I will say that capping the Orlando Magic is not the easiest thing to do right now. Listen, if you forced me to put a bet on this, like, I would maybe say the Hawks. It just feels like a lazy answer, though, right? Like, I think this is a better one for me just to stay away from. I don't want to really mess with it too much. It is a lot of points, right? 12.5. We talked about Orlando and how they're definitely a team that they try a little bit harder, right? So, and that's probably not the best way to say it, but they're still playing to win games, right? They're not out here like Steve Clifford is a coach, kind of like Thibodeau, where he's grinding out games. He's playing to win every game. So they're not just sitting here in tank mode and just saying, okay, we're going to let all of these young guys play. Like Mo Bamba is, he probably can't play 30 minutes, but he's not out here, playing like a million minutes, right? They're just concerned about trying to play the best game every single night that they can. So part of me thinks the more I think about it, it feels gross to say it. If you force me to lean, I would probably lean the Magic mainly because of that. And again, I don't want to touch this game. I know I said before I want to just get on the Hawks, but that's because betting the Magic is gross, right? Like it feels disgusting. So like that's my first reaction is to go bet on the Hawks side because I don't want to touch the Magic at all. But it does feel like a deep number for a team that is trying in these games and being not pretty competitive. You'll see some games where they just get absolutely blown out, right? Like some games they get absolutely destroyed. But then the other ones, they stick in it pretty close, it feels like, or at least they're hanging around enough where that number 12.5, they could get it home. So I'm going to lean the Magic, but I really don't like this game. Like this is definitely one I want to stay away from.
All right, JSU. Travis came pretty close to picking both sides there. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, I thought he was going to do it for a second, Fred. I thought he was going to pick both sides and then leave me to just kind of make the decision for him at the end of the day. But, I mean, Mangone, this team, you're talking about keeping a game close. They lost to Houston. That's got to be like one of the worst losses you can have is to Houston right now. Was that a game without John Wall too?
I believe Wall played in that game, but I'll be honest, I did not watch that game. Yeah, that was like at the bottom of my.
I got to look at that. But either way, a loss to Houston is rough. That's rough sledding to me. But
I will say last 3 games, they've covered that 12.5. They played Chicago, Toronto, and Houston. So obviously different teams. They have a win against the Bulls, 9. Then Toronto, they lost by 11. And then Houston, yes, they lost by 4. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's one of those spots where JSU, like I typically lean on like, if it's like a spot where I just don't even want to stay away from it, I lean on that favorite side all the time. It's just because it's the easy, natural human thing to do. But the more I think through the game, I just think I don't want to touch this game, but it's dog or pass. I think that's the best way to put it, just because of the situation and the line.
No, it's dog or pass. Just to be clear, though, John Wall wasn't. He didn't play that game.
He did not? Wow.
No, he was not in. But even then, I still think at 12, I don't know. It's dog or pass to me. I think you either take the points with Orlando, or you kind of just say I'm staying away from this game. Maybe you can find a nice player prop or something like that. But for the most part, I think it's dog or your pass. I do agree with Mangone there, but I don't know. Like Orlando to me is not one of those teams where it's like, yeah, they might try, but like I think they're actually better when they have like James Ennis and those crappy guys ruled out. Like if Gary Harris got ruled out, I would. Yeah, he's out tonight. I know that, but I'm saying like if Gary Harris got ruled out, good. I think he's.
You don't think sucks. Gary Harris helps? I like having Gary Harris in the starting.
He sucks.
You don't like his defense?
No, he's terrible.
Okay. All right. I love it.
I'm sorry, Fred. We can agree to disagree.
No, it's great. I appreciate it.
He's one of those guys that, like, to me, he just like, I don't know. He's not super athletic. He is not very good at getting to the rim. He's like a one-trick pony. And, you know, if his shot's not falling, what is he doing out there? Like, his defense is not what it used to be after all those injuries, in my opinion. Yes, right. When he came into the league, he was a good defender. And if you still see him that way, that's fine. But I see him as clearly a different player after an injury-plagued NBA, career that he's had so far. He's clearly not the defender he once was. I think that was why Denver was so fine with getting rid of him, was he used to be one of their better defenders, and they knew he wasn't that guy, and they needed to upgrade defensively, and that's why they went and got Aaron Gordon. They were so fine just saying, take Gary Harris, we'd rather have Aaron Gordon. He's not the defender he once was when I watch him play.
All right. Well, that's a good breakdown, and I think that the best advice there is just to completely stay away from that game. Let's go to a game that's actually pretty interesting, even with the injury news. That's the Brooklyn Nets 38-19, 28-29 against the spread. Heading to New Orleans to take on the roller coaster Pelicans, 25-32, 25-32 against the spread. I think actually it's a crime that this roster is 25-32. I've often voiced my displeasure of how Van Gundy's treating this team, and 3 straight losses, and I know it was kind of a tough road trip, but I think that this team should have done better here. 2 losses to New York and then a loss to Washington in there. Now they're going against the Nets team that, there's so much stuff on their injury report. No Durant, no Reggie Perry, no Harden, no Nico Claxton, no Chioza, and no Tyler Johnson. For the Pelicans, it'll just be Alexander Walker that's out, and James Johnson, who doesn't get much run, is doubtful. I think this is an interesting game. I didn't fall on a side. I thought the number was pretty good. What do you think, Travis?
Yeah, this game, man, I have flashbacks from this game. I know it's not the same, but I was like all invested on these Pelicans the last time they played Brooklyn, and that game did not go well. So definitely having a little bit of flashbacks here, seeing this game, but it's a different team, right? KD obviously suffered that injury. How bad was that? I saw it come across the timeline, right? Did he get like seriously hurt? Is he gonna be out for a long time, or is it just now they're gonna just be very safe with him for the next?
It's an abundance of caution. It wasn't that bad.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured I would have seen more stuff blow up when that happened, but so Kyrie obviously is an amazing spot, right? Guards against the Pelicans is a good thing. I expect him to obviously put up points. He's probably one of the better spend up options on this slate. So if you look at, like, sometimes it's easier to talk about just like the spend ups together, right? And today, like, there are some good spend ups, right? You can make a case for Zion against Brooklyn, right? Obviously in a good spot. De'Aaron Fox against the Timberwolves. Hefty price tag at 9.8, but it's a good matchup. Could obviously destroy the Timberwolves. Kyrie Irving against the Pelicans. Great spot. All the usage funneled to him. Seems like one of the better options, 9.9K. Julius Randle is 10.1K. He's someone that sees 40 minutes every night. And Charlotte, what do? They struggle against big men. Like, who is going to stop him? And then Towns against Sacramento, right? And we see big men always eat him up, and Towns gets a nice usage there against this team. And he's the guy on the team. So I think it makes sense. But the problem is Cat has not been as great lately. Ever since he kind of took off for a little bit, he struggled. So that's kind of the breakdown of the stars at the top. And there's a lot of them you can go to. I think Kyrie is the one you're going to see that gets the most ownership right now. And looking at that, I think you can make a case for some of these other guys that pivot to at the top, which I'm sure JSU can talk about. From a handicapping perspective, I would probably lean the Pelicans if you force me to pick a side. Again, I don't love this game. Okay. Mainly because I just don't want to be betting on this Nets team right now, especially when what's their biggest concern? It's probably health, right? I also don't want to be betting on the Pelicans that much and backing their defense, right? But I don't love this game again to bet. It's a 5-game slate. There probably won't be as many bets today. Hopefully we'll find some good ones for Greg when we get to the best bet segment, but not my favorite game in the world. And I also am probably having a little flashbacks of last time I thought the Pelicans could keep it close. And instead the Nets, I think they hit 50% on their 3-pointers in like 3 straight quarters and absolutely destroyed them. So I could be a little flustered from that, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, JSU, did you see the end of the Pelicans-Knicks games where like Bledsoe just made that terrible error and then Van Gundy just completely called him out for it?
Yep, I did see that. And
this was terrible, by the way. Awful.
I also saw Zion pretty much expressing his love for New York and pretty much saying that when he's going there. In my opinion, like, you pretty much said, like, hey, when my contract's up, see you later, Pelicans. He loved to add in there, like, besides New Orleans, New York is my favorite place. Like, yeah, okay. Besides New Orleans, you're killing me here, Zion. Besides New Orleans, so that was funny to me as well. But from this game, I have flashbacks as well because I, like Travis, was on the New Orleans side, and I got bit in the ass by that game. This game, though, is a little different. So if you go back to that game, first of all, Lonzo and Zion were in. Steven Adams was in. But there was no Brandon Ingram. He was out for that game. Also, too, in that game, Kevin Durant didn't play. I'm pretty sure that was the game where, like, he didn't play in the first half, and then the second half played like 17 minutes. It was that game. But either way, he played 17 minutes. He was a nice spark off the bench for them that game. And also, a huge piece of that game that's missing is Lamarcus Aldridge, actually, who was on fire. I remember they were feeding him in the post, and he was hitting those turn-away little short jumpers all day. He went 8 for 12 from the field that game. He was money. No Claxton for this game either. I think this game, New Orleans gets them back here. Those guys are going to play, and Brooklyn is just down so many bodies. They were down bodies in that game, but again, Durant came off the bench and played 17 minutes. And I know you just say, 17 minutes. But, man, if you look at what he did in 17 minutes, he had 17 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds. He was a plus 22. He was a plus 22 in 17 minutes. Think about that. Kevin Durant was a monster for those 17 minutes. And I'm pretty sure it was the game where he only played those minutes in the second half. So they destroyed him. They destroyed them all around. A lot of these guys are going to be gone for that game. So if you look at it. And then Mangone's right about the threes. They hit 46% of their threes. They were on fire from three. And, I'm going to take the shot that Brandon Ingram back. Pelicans get it done here.
All right. I actually think you made some good points going in the Pelicans' favor.
Is Claxton in for this game or not?
I see him out.
He's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I was just wondering because one thing I didn't know if he was in or out. Okay, cool. That probably doesn't. I mean, they're down some bodies, man, in this game. I was gonna say because Claxton, one thing that people make the mistake of with Claxton in DFS, and this is why I just want to bring it up. The big mistake that they've been making with him, I think, is if Claxton is not starting with it, or he's not running with a Harden or a Kyrie, he's kind of pointless. Like doesn't do a lot. Like he needs to have that ball handler with him. So when they started Deandre Jordan, right, over him, and this is something that you can probably use going forward for the next couple weeks and maybe even in the playoffs as well. Claxton is more valuable when he's starting with those ball handlers and when he's able to be on the court with them. And when they're down so many ball handlers, obviously if Kyrie starts and then Claxton doesn't, there's not going to be as much overlap that you would like. So that's something I just wanted to mention. And DeAndre Jordan has been a lot better. I'm sure he's going to be a DFS option that we look at a little bit because one thing I will say is I guess DeAndre Jordan got his job back, but I don't think it's for sure there, right? So he is kind of playing for his job a little bit, and they're going to need his size in this game. So I do think he's a value play at 3.9K that you're going to want to look at. And then on the other side, again, I talked about the spend ups, right? Zion is definitely an interesting spend up that you can look at, but with Ingram being there and Ball and all those other guys, I might move away from him, even though it's such a great matchup. He can obviously dominate here, but the big concern with Zion, I'm sure you agree with this, JSU, is Zion now has Ball back there, and Ball's just pulling away usage from him. That could be a problem. Now against New York, of course, he loves playing in New York, played 42 minutes. He's still at a 55, but was that even enough? I mean, it was enough to be happy, but other studs could outscore him, JSU. And I worry that Ball, to some degree, limits that 70 ceiling that we wish we could see, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the key here. And if you're talking about DFS, now you're paying $9,700 for Zion. The matchup is great. There's nothing wrong with the matchup. But now we got Ingram back, Lonzo there. All these guys are just a little bit taking away from Zion in his, ultimate ceiling. This is a great matchup, though, for Zion. Let's be honest. A very good matchup for him. But, it's not as good when you're paying $9,700 and you need that you need 60, right, Mangone? You're paying 9,700, not need, but you want 60, right?
Yeah. No, you definitely want to have a big performance for sure, right? You also want to compare to the other studs, right? That's the other thing, and the positions matter as well. So that's the other thing that comes into account.
But the reason why I'm saying you need 60 is because you're playing him in a tournament probably for lower ownership at that price tag, and you need him to be able to outscore that entire range. So Fox, Irving, Julius Randle. I mean, even Cat, he's a little more expensive, right? But I'll still say, you would want him to outscore all those studs. I don't know, you think he outscores Cat tonight? Maybe. I don't think so. So we'll see. But I don't know. It's just it depends, obviously. And if Cat gets full run, obviously, that's the other thing. But I just feel to me, how can you trust it? That's my worry with Lonzo and Ingram. Either way, though, from a betting perspective, I think New Orleans is the play. I'm looking at the last game, and I'm looking at going, this is, even with them down guys, this is still a different team. This is such a close spread. 2.5 right now. That's still the spread. That's still the line.
It's
I'm taking
3, but I think
I saw on DK 2.5, and I just pulled it up on my phone. So
cool.
If you can get it on DK Sports,
that's the place on Bookmaker right now. It's -3, but I still think if you like it at 2.5, you like it at 3.
Yeah.
In this
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it's a spot where they could end up running away with it. I don't really like this Brooklyn Nets team unless you think they're just going to stay extremely hot from 3 against this Pelicans team.
Yeah, it's good to hear last time too. Like last time I was like kind of on the Pelicans. Like I thought they'd be able to keep it close. I wasn't handicapping it, but DFS I was like, I think the Pelicans keep this close and Zion's gonna hit his ceiling, right? And of course he missed. And then the next 2 games he goes absolutely nuts. And so I do think I need to jump back on that same feeling. And it's also, again, they shot lights out from 3. I mean, I remember I saw the stat. It like came across the TV. It was like they in 3 quarters in a row they hit like 50% or more on their threes, and like they shot like X amount of threes, which is like they broke all these different records for like, because they just shot so many of them. And every single shot just went in. It was insane. So that's going to happen sometimes.
And Mangone, also too, don't forget the other side. The other side, the Pelicans couldn't hit a 3. They were 6 for 27 from 3. We're like like all these guys are now out that were studs for that game for Brooklyn. And I mean, Lamarcus Aldridge, I'm telling you right now, like if you watch that game, you're going to watch that first half and you're going to go, what the hell happened to Lamarcus Aldridge? Because he was hitting everything, like all his turnaround jumpers. I remember at one point, Kyrie gave him the ball in the post and he like waved at him. Like he passed it back out and he gave it back to him. And he's like, dude, just go. Like just take him. You know what I mean? Like now LMA's retired, but I don't know. You just look at all these guys and you just say, they're down so many guys. How can I not back the Pelicans here? Pelicans have so much size. They should be able to dominate them down low if they do it right. And if they can hit a few more threes in this game, I think it's a way different story.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate here, when you're looking at this Brooklyn team, they need Kyrie to shoot 50% from the field to be an effective offense. He doesn't create like Harden or Durant does. So when he's below 50% on his shooting percentage, which, I mean, sometimes he's just cooking, right? And it's not even close. But that's going to be the key to the game is you want to keep him below 50%. And that's where I worry about the Pelicans a little bit because it is such a good matchup for Irving if they do keep it close. But I think overall you made some great points. And I think I'm going to go ahead and jump in on the Pelicans with you.
What I want to ask, you guys might know this answer. Will the Pelicans let Kyrie just take all the shots and just defend everyone else? Will they play that kind of defense here? I know they don't play any defense, right? But sometimes I like if I can find those spots to target within a defense, if a coach has a tendency to do that when there's just one main guy. Sometimes if I can get a read on that, I like to bet that guy's over as well. And I still think you can see many opportunities, and Kyrie's that perfect guy where you just cover everyone else and let Kyrie shoot up shots, and he's happy to shoot them all day long, and he'll take bad shots along the way.
Yeah, I think they put Lonzo on him, and I think they see Lonzo as one of their better on-ball defenders, especially on the perimeter. Yeah. So I think they just put Lonzo on him and say,
but you think they're going to lazy switch on the pick and roll every time?
I'll tell you right now, they shouldn't, but it's the regular season, so who knows? They might just lazy switch, but I wouldn't, not against Kyrie.
I wouldn't either. Not with Bledsoe.
Like Mangone said, if Kyrie puts up 60 and beats me, if he pulls a Steph, like what Steph's been doing, and they can edge out a win with him scoring 50 real points, okay. Right. That's fine. But even if he scores 50 real points, that's not necessarily saying they're automatically going to – they might need 40 out of Kyrie just to keep this game close, looking at who else they have on this team.
Yep.
So that's the other thing. I think also, too, with Claxton, like you were saying, Mangone, the key is Harden. Forget about everyone else. Harden is the guy you want if you want Claxton to be effective because Harden's the one who gets into the paint and he's looking for that lob. He's so comfortable throwing that lob to people. Kyrie, even when he gets in the paint, he's looking to score. He's always looking to score. That's his primary option is to score. When Harden gets in the paint, it's to dish or to draw a foul. Those are his two. That's what he wants to do when he gets in the paint. It's to dish the ball, and if he doesn't dish the ball and they let him get to the rim, he wants to get an and one. He wants to draw contact and score. That's his primary option. Where Kyrie, he likes to get in there and find a way to get his shot up with, try and shimmy his way, fade away, bunny jumper, get to the rim, some fancy layup. That's what he's doing. Harden is looking for contact or the lob.
You just basically explained much better than I did why Harden can absorb a low percentage shooting night and still be offensively efficient and have a great plus minus, but Kyrie can't because he dishes better and he draws fouls. So even if he's 6 for 18, if he's 10 from 10 for the line, he still made a huge impact. But we never get Kyrie grabbing those foul calls like Harden does. And like you said, he doesn't get as many assists. I think that Kyrie's probably a better ball handler and creator, but Harden's just such a much better passer.
And Kyrie knows how to like get his shot off without contact. Like he just like knows how to make an impossible layup. Like how you're like, I don't know how he got that shot up from under the rim, but like somehow he figures a way out to get his shot up without making contact. So yeah, Harden is looking for the contact. There's a difference.
Yeah, and Kyrie's definitely one of the most creative finishers in the league, and you got to give him credit. I mean, he's got the better highlights too, but do we have anything more on this game before we move on to the next one?
I think we're in agreement, right? Pelicans, unless spread was not.
No, I was just trying to play devil's advocate because we got to have some good radio, good TV here, right?
Yeah.
Can't always agree on everything, but let's see about this one. I almost think this one's too easy, but I wanted to talk to you guys before I played it. The Hornets, who are 28-28, 30-25 against the spread, head to New York to take on the Knicks, 31-27, 37-21 against the spread. How many of the Knicks won in a row now against the spread? I think they're 6-0 ATS. They're on a nice little streak here, maybe even more. 8-0, 9-0, 9-0 against the spread. They're on a 9-game covering streak. This Charlotte team, obviously, not at 100%. Why would I not take the Knicks here, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, the reason to not take the Knicks is because I don't know, it's the Knicks. I mean, they've been great, right? I mean, the streak is still alive, I believe, right? They didn't lose the last time, right? They're still at 6 or 7. What's the streak at now? Spread?
They've won 6 games and they've covered 9 straight.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's hard to dress up the Hornets. Like Terry Rozier obviously can play the role of Kyrie Irving and check up all the shots in the world. My problem here is like this matchup fits so well for the Knicks. Like I would love to pick against the Knicks. The other reason to pick against the Knicks is like you feel like if this game was like a week ago with the same matchup, right? Maybe it'd be -3 or 4. Like it feels like there's definitely some money like or like some public perception pushing on, hey, like just bet the Knicks, just bet the Knicks.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I kind of like want to go the other way, but I can't really make a case for it because I worry about the Hornets in the paint, right? Like I just think they're going to get destroyed by the Knicks down low. And that's just going to be a problem. And I think the Knicks are going to control this game for the most part. So I lean Knicks. I would say I think the Knicks side, I'd probably say Pelicans is my favorite bet so far that we've talked about. And then I'd probably put the Knicks at number 2. But I'd say like I haven't been on the Knicks as much as I probably should have this year for sure. But again, it's like the whole like, hey, Thibodeau grinds it out, right? He's grinding every single minute. On the other hand, like, so is James Borrego, right? Like he is a guy that is trying to win games and get his team right. He is trying to give his like younger guys some work too. But if things go wrong, which like they went wrong the other day with Carey, right? He got 4 fouls in 3 minutes and 40 seconds, right? And he didn't just say, okay, youth movement, let's give this guy the run. He just took him out and said, hey, we're effective with what we're doing. Like they're trying to win games. They're not just doing like a youth movement thing. So that's why I'm just going to lean the Knicks again. I haven't had the best read on them all year long. Probably could have done a better job with them, but I'm going to lean Knicks.
What do you think, JSU?
Mangone just throwing in a little burning carry just to tilt a little bit more. Are we done with the tilting, Mangone?
No, it's just to bring up a point. It's no tilt there. It's really to bring up a point of the coaches talked about like wanting to do some youth stuff, and he's pretty good at like being pretty transparent about what he's doing. But when he's in the game, he is trying to win that game, right? He's trying to grind his team to the playoffs. Like Jordan wants to be, in the playoffs. He wants to make sure his team is a top 8 team and getting that playoff money and getting the recognition. Like they're grinding for that. So that was more so the reason to talk about it because some people might think that Charlotte's that team that's just trying to do the whole youth movement thing, and they're not exactly doing that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was to take a little dig because he didn't give your guy a little more run.
Well, he went from
I
and
am
all
disappointed.
those points to 7 minutes the next game, right?
What?
And what was the reason for that? What did Carey do? Because Carey was doing great the game before, and then he only got 7 minutes the game after.
No, he got in foul trouble like within.
That was why I wasn't sure. I was going to ask you
Yeah.
guys because I didn't watch that one. I was looking at the box score, and I was like, oh, I remember Carey because I saw that the first night it started, like I follow a bunch of people like that cover the Hornets, and they were all excited about him, right? And I said, why do you only get 7 minutes the second game?
Yeah, Spread, I'll give you a pass. I said it when I was talking there, but if you like turned out, like if you just kind of like stopped listening at Vernon Carey, I wouldn't blame you, right? That's the part of the show where I maybe tune it out.
I actually think he's like a fascinating like version of this team because they were really excited about his potential. Like that's why like I like reading like the fans and the subreddits because they know like the young players that that we completely skip over, but the ones that really have like a lot of athletic ability and maybe have some upside. So I'm actually interested in him, as weird as that is.
The only problem with that, Spread, is like every young player that comes in and gets minutes is like the new guy that's going to save someone like the Charlotte Hornets or the Chicago Bulls. So,
They always want to really dress it up with a grain of salt. That's like my late night reading, so I don't put too much into it. Not in my morning serious prep. JSU, what do you think about this game? Would I be crazy if I took the Knicks here? Can you make a solid argument for the Fighting Hornets?
I mean, I don't think you'd be crazy for taking the Knicks. I think my lean right now is the Knicks. The Hornets, let's be honest here. The one thing, Terry Rozier he's not playing a Kyrie Irving role. He's getting wide open 3-point shot role. Like to watch that game against Portland, the dude was literally left in the corner multiple times for wide open threes in rotation, in defensive rotation. Portland was that bad.
Yeah, but that's Portland.
Well, I'm just saying, though, this isn't like him and he's dribbling around and he's making crazy, turnaround shots constantly and getting to the paint and scoring at will. That last game was him literally just like getting a bunch of wide open threes. He started off the game like 5 for 5 from 3 in the first quarter or whatever it was. Like they just kept leaving him open. It was terrible. With the Knicks, you think a guy who's been super hot the last few games, you think they're not going to know that and go in trying to plan? This is a good defensive team, right? They're going to go in and say, like, someone else has to beat us. Terry Rozier's not beating us. So, we're going to make someone else shoot. And I think the Knicks end up winning. Can it be a close game, though? Yeah, I think Charlotte could make it somewhat competitive. Again, I don't love this bet. I think my lean would be the Knicks, but I definitely feel more confident in the Pelicans right now, just going through it. Not a game where I love taking a side here, but if I had to lean one way, it would be the Knicks.
Yeah, I think the Knicks do a great job. They do give up a high percentage of open threes, but it always seems to be the player that they choose, not the player that the other team's coach would want to take the open 3-point shot. I think they do a good job of just choosing 2 or 3 guys, running them off, and letting the other 2 have the wide open shots. And if they make them, they make them. But I think they do a really good job of that. So it'll be interesting to see if Rozier gets those open looks because, let's be honest, Portland doesn't do a good job of that at all. Portland. No. Portland's terrible. Like they need some changes, but we'll talk about them right now. Actually, what do you think of this Portland team without Dame Lillard, without Yusuf Nurkic? They'll be playing against the Clippers tonight. The line is it 8 or did it move to 7? Moved to 7. So the Blazers took some overnight money. I originally leaned the Blazers, and then I just read so many things. It kind of like switched me over to the Clippers. I don't know if I can trust this team without Dame. And I don't know how they're going to get stops. What do you think, JSU?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we got this like matchup where Nurk was out last game, but they had Dame and Canner went for a big game. I know that he had a nice 13 and 15, but they still ended up losing, pretty big too. I think it was like 17 or 18 they lost by, and that Clippers team, that day, they had both PG and Kawhi. Okay. And they had Pat Beverly. Do we have like any of those? So right now, both those guys are in, right? Like,
yeah, right now, but it's
right
Clippers,
now.
So
I wouldn't be shocked if like one of those guys randomly got ruled out. It's just,
and I'm also wondering if that's what caused the overnight move. You gotta remember the overnight moves I usually respect. Overnight moves are sharp bettors, put a lot of money in. They're not just, hey, I just got home from work, crack open a beer, I'm going to take the favorite. That could be something they're taking into account.
Where did it open at, Spread?
8.
Where was it? 8?
It was 8.
Now it's 7?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, maybe. So yeah, I mean that would definitely change a lot. But if both those guys play, no Dame Lillard, I'll take the Clippers here. They've been playing really well, even without like one of those two guys in their lineup. As long as one of them's in, like they're still playing really well, and I just trust them a lot more right now. So I know it's 7, but Portland is just so bad defensively. Like at a certain point as this game goes on, they're just gonna like what happened. It happened in the first quarter against Charlotte, but it seems to happen every single time where they just defensively they can't rotate. They don't know what they're doing on defense. Cantor is a liability. So is Melo, and they need those guys in when there's no Nurkic, there's no Dame Lillard because they need their offense. But it kills them defensively. So if they go on one stretch where they're missing shots for a decent stretch and they're playing terrible defense, that's where the Clippers are just going to go on a run. And then it's just going to the Clippers will end up winning by 10 points, 15, whatever it is. If both those guys are in, I think the Clippers roll.
If both of them are in, it's just such a tough matchup. So I talked to Travis about it before we jumped on. Derrick Jones Jr. got a DNP last game. They got to bring him out tonight, though, right?
Well, that's because Rondé Hollis-Jefferson played like big minutes last game.
Yeah,
like, he played 22 minutes last game, and a lot of that was in the first half, which was weird. In the second half, he got way less run.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do with that, but boy, I think it's just such a terrible matchup. The numbers say to take Portland, but you look at the matchup, and these forwards just seem like they are just going to go off. I don't know how they're going to stop them at all. Travis, what are you thinking? And maybe should I be targeting some of these Clippers forwards here in just what seems to be a dream matchup?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Clippers forwards, I mean, JSU revenge is a dish best served cold. I mean, Nick Batum revenge. No one sees that coming on JSU. I'm totally kidding on Nick Batum revenge, but I figured JSU would get a good laugh about that.
He was hurtful the last time I recommended Nick Batum. We can't go back to him.
Yeah, no, I'm
very hurtful to JSU.
Revenge. You didn't see that one coming. You did not see a Nick Batum.
No, we didn't. That was fantastic, Travis.
Nope. But I will talk about Batum from a betting perspective with Rondo, right? Of course, Spread, I'll give you the update. I think the most up-to-date number I got so far for it is plus 78 and 88 minutes playing together with an 87.6 defensive rating. When those guys are on the court together, and they should be on the court a lot together. And I talk about the backups, right? And we talk about how guys like Derrick Jones Jr. are not playing, and there's all these absolute bums. Like, listen, Enes Kanter is great for fantasy production, but defensively, you can destroy him, right? I mean, he is just someone that is not good. So I expect the Clippers' second unit to really beat up that Portland first unit. And I think you can make an argument if you have Kawhi or George sitting. Let's say one of these guys sits, okay? If one of them sits, I'm okay with still betting on that Clippers side. I still think they might beat them. That's how bad Portland is. Another thing to mention, right? I believe this is the TNT game, right? So I think they're both going to play. Because it's the TNT game, I don't know why it got that movement, right, for the Portland side. No clue. But I want to ride with the Clippers here. I would bank on them. I do not see them sitting both of the guys. Maybe they only play one, but I shouldn't say I'd be shocked if I see both sit, right? Because, I mean, why should I be shocked? It's the Clippers. I'm not going to mess with these guys in DFS, George or Kawhi, unless we get late news that one guy's out and then the other one's in, and then maybe I'll make an adjustment. That's kind of how I would approach it. I wouldn't be planning for it, but that's how I would do it for DFS. But I would be betting on the Clippers here, even giving the 7. I'm just going to say the sharps are wrong here, Spread. The overnight move was wrong, and I'm on the Clippers side, and we'll have to see if who the winner is there.
Mangone, did you get any news because the Pelicans game's off the board?
No, nothing here, but that's tough to see. I wonder what's
tell me Kyrie's out for personal reasons or something like that.
Man, can you imagine?
Kyrie just decides to sit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. But
all right, well, we'll see what that reopens at.
There's no news.
Yeah, I don't see anything yet. I mean, it is around 1:30, so they might have.
They didn't take the whole game off either. They left the total up, so I'm wondering.
What could have happened, Spread, is since it's around 1:32, it could have been pulled because someone put a lot of money down, and maybe like someone knows something we don't, right? And then like the book was like overexposed, and they were just worried, or you never know what's on the back end for them that they're seeing compared to who the bettor is. Because certain bettors, if they make a bet, right, they're going to take something down with some precautions.
All right. Yeah, and Bookmaker doesn't ban either, so they have the full complement of guys hitting them there. All right, let's jump into the last game, and this is another game I wanted to talk to you guys about before I made the bet. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are 15-43, traveling to Sacramento to take on the Kings, who are 23-34. Kings laying 3.5. I originally liked the Kings here. I'm on a full Timberwolves fade, and they actually have incentive to lose because they don't want to ship that pick to Golden State Warriors. My issue here is Hassan Whiteside instead of Rashawn Holmes on Towns. I'm really worried about that matchup. But I think, Mangone, you like Whiteside a little more than me. What do you think about this game? And can Whiteside guard Towns at all, or is Towns going to drop a 70 burger in that DFS?
I like Whiteside in DFS, but not in real life basketball. I'll say that.
Yeah.
He's fun for DFS, right? Because he's similar to Cantor. Really fun for DFS, gets me lots of points, but not really helping me win many games, right? I mean, of course, maybe here or there he has that big game, but you'll see times where Whiteside goes for like 50 fantasy points. And you're like, oh, the Kings lost by like 20 still? Yeah, because having Whiteside on the court does not help you win basketball games. So you can make an argument that the more Hassan Whiteside, the better it is for the Timberwolves. I'm trying to think of how to really think about this game because I don't know. It's hard to really back Luke Walton right now and this Kings team because this Kings team is struggling, right? They're pretty banged up, and it feels like they've taken a lot of bumps where they're at the point where they're really hard to back. But the Timberwolves, on the other hand, they were playing great basketball before the Towns, he took off for a little bit for the Memorial. And, of course, ever since Towns have been back, the minutes have been okay. They haven't been what they were. We haven't seen those 40-minute games and as great a production. So I don't know exactly how to handle this one. Part of me feels like the best way to handle this game is watch how it starts out and then like live bet it to kind of see how things are shaking out. Maybe watch Towns' first rotation. I don't know, JSU, maybe you can give me like a lean of which way to go, but I'm definitely struggling with this game. I think it's fun for DFS. It's a 238 total, one I want to get some exposure to, but at the same time, I don't know exactly where to go.
Yeah, Hassan Whiteside is not good for real basketball. Great for your fantasy teams, though. Big difference there, right, Mangone? Good for fantasy, bad for real basketball.
Massively big. Yeah. I would love to be playing him in fantasy, and like it always depends on his price too. And if he's going to start and be the guy, and he's going to play 25 to 30 minutes on a 5-game slate, like sign me up. I'm sure the price is still not even too steep, right? It's still probably in that like 5-6K range where you can still get away with it, correct?
Yeah, 5-8 on DraftKings. I think
we'll
is
get
the price tag
too, because Naz Reid will back him up, so it's not like they're going to go small. Well, they'll run him off the floor.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the question's always going to be Luke Walton because Luke Walton does not like Whiteside. Like any excuse to get him off the floor, he'll make it and get his ass off the floor. So I wouldn't be shocked if he still played like 20 minutes. But if he played like 25, he could absolutely dominate from a fantasy perspective. That's for sure. So from this game though, from a betting side, I think to me, I don't trust Minnesota a little bit more when it comes to their stars, mainly Cat. And it's kind of making me want to back Sacramento. I think this is a really good spot for a guy like De'Aaron Fox. I don't know. I think right now my lean is the Kings here. I don't know. Towns has that whole thing with, obviously his family stuff's going on and the minutes are down. And if they're going to keep his minutes in check, it's going to hurt the team overall, right? For sure. And
you want to hear something crazy, JSU? I want to hear if this changes your opinion at all. So since that trade, since they made that trade, the Kings, right? They got rid of Corey Joseph. What do you think their record is, the Kings?
It's like 1-9.
Yeah, I don't know how many games they've played since then, but I'll go with like 0-10.
Well, they beat Dallas in their last game.
They're 2-9, which they've been.
Well, I knew they had to be like. I knew it had to be like something silly, like it's 0-1-2. Like I knew it was one of the three.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I mean, so they beat San Antonio. There's a chance maybe the Cleveland win was part of it, but I don't know if those guys played yet. But they beat San Antonio. They lost them to San Antonio. Then they lost to the Lakers, lost to Milwaukee, lost to the Timberwolves, lost to Detroit, lost to Utah, lost to the Pelicans, Washington, Phoenix, and then they beat Dallas. There's been some ugly losses there. And Phoenix, they definitely played a lot better. You can make an argument that the Kings are rounding into a bit better form of, like, I think trying to figure out, like, where these guys fit because they've lost some bodies along the way, and they're probably getting more comfortable playing with each other. So you could definitely make that argument, but I'll admit I have no idea what to do with this team because it feels really gross trying to back the Kings, but I just want to hear if that changed your opinion at all.
Well, and too, one other thing with the Timberwolves, it looks like the minutes on a lot of these guys is changing. Like even Anthony Edwards, just the last 4 games or last 2 games, he's had 29, 30 minutes, 31 against Milwaukee. Whereas, just a little while ago, he was getting close to 40 minutes.
That's because Russell's back, though, right?
What?
Because they're staggering him with Russell?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, though, before that, he was getting monster minutes, and I thought he was looking really good, and I don't know why they're stopped. Like, if there was one person on that team that should just get 35-plus minutes every night, I feel like it should be him. Why aren't they trying to just let him kind of develop, especially when Cat is not on the floor? Like, that's for sure.
Here's my idea. And again, I'm not this guy, but let's bring him to the chat. Conspiracy theory guy. Are they just trying to lose games so they can keep that top 3 seed, JSU? Because they have the same record as the Rockets right now. So maybe they don't want to win games to protect their pick. I don't know, but it's something to watch. If those minutes are a little shaky, that could be very interesting to look at.
I mean, that's possible, right? That's highly possible. So I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean
Finch knows he's not going to lose his job, right? I mean, there's a huge uproar to bring him in. So that almost gives him a little more job security because Roses has kind of tied his ship to him, being the controversial manner in which he was acquired. And Roses is getting towards the end of his tenure here. This is probably his last coach to take. So I would think that Finch would feel pretty comfortable having a bottom 3 record, but then being able to keep that draft pick and actually be able to move on, especially in this draft, right? Because, you get a Kate Cunningham or a Jalen Suggs or one of these guys, and I think maybe your franchise outlook changes quite a bit.
I still think they probably just need to move on from D-Russ somehow.
Good luck.
I think they do too. And with Towns' friendship, do you think that's the big major impediment? Or do you think really nobody wants him and you'd have to give up a first-round pick to get rid of him?
I think both of them are tough because I don't know how many people are going to want him and also the Towns friendship. So
yeah,
both parts.
Hot take, I'd move on from both. Call me crazy. Just move
from Towns as well.
Just hit the restart button. He's got some value, man. Like just try and like.
Towns has huge value. Towns, you could probably get one of those four first-round draft pick hauls with maybe like a young.
It just feels like it's not a bad reset, especially with like what's happened with his life too. I mean, his life in Minnesota, it has not been the greatest, right? At least personal life. It seems like he's gone through a lot. So I don't know. I'm in the camp of it. Listen, do you see an actual future for Towns and the Timberwolves like being a contender? I just don't ever.
It was a terrible pairing to begin with, though, and that was actually what made me kind of lose faith in Roses, who was kind of a highly touted GM, right? And then he makes that move, and you're like, wait, why were they touted? Like that doesn't seem like a smart move.
Yeah, it makes sense, honestly, if they wanted to just blow it up and get rid of both those guys, because maybe you could somehow make it work where in a Town deal somehow D. Russ was attached, even if it was like a 3-team deal.
Then you'd be willing to absorb the Russell contract, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's probably what you would do.
West Coast generally have a good point. They just sold the franchise, right? So that obviously you could make sense to move on. Like it all fits the narratives, right? And the other thing too, would you be shocked if the Timberwolves, right? They have a smart coach. And again, I like this coach and I like Towns. It's not that I don't like him, but would you be shocked if they got like, a really good player in the draft? They had him paired up with Edwards, and then they had like some young guys in there that maybe shock you and play well. And they look like the Thunder right now. Maybe not this Thunder team, but what we saw at the start of the year. Would not be shocked if you saw that where, again, they're not like this amazing team, but you actually see a future blooming, which is nice to have and nice to look at.
All right.
Are you saying you see a future blooming in OKC?
Yeah, I think that they have. If you're an OKC fan, you feel good about them for the next in the next 5 years, you feel good about their franchise outlook because of all the draft picks that they have and everything.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like this team that they have.
No. I just meant
it's just the overall outlook. It's probably
I was gonna be like, all right, man, you're drinking the Lou Dort Kool-Aid too much, buddy.
No, I do like me some Lou Dort, but no,
I do too.
the main point I'm making is like there's nothing worse than being that franchise that's kind of a little stuck and like I don't know. I feel like I'm a Celtic fan, right? I don't feel great about their outlooks. I know the next couple of years is going to be nothing special. And then we're going to have to find someone to come in and play with Brown and Tatum. And will we ever find it? Like, I always want to just like get to that next step. And sometimes I'm easier to jump off the team before I should, right? And all I'm saying is I like when a team is set up for the future for like the next 5-10 years and I can see that outlook. And the Celtics, they had that kind of future set up with all the draft picks and they never did anything with it, but they got some nice pieces along the way, and Jaylen Brown and Tatum. And I think the Thunder are set up to execute that, and they just have to get the players and then kind of actually use their draft picks in trades and move their team along, unlike the Celtics. So hopefully they learn from the Celtics' mistakes.
All right. Well, that's it. A 5-game slate, and we are ready for Gregory Russo's favorite segment. Before we do that, guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you good actually gambling content, and also head on over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to check out all we have to offer. Or if you're already a DFS member, use the promo code GETBETS to get a free month of the bet side as well as your DFS package, so you get access to JSU scores, Mangone's cash charts, and of course the coveted final countdown show with Holden and JSU, where they were really putting you through the ringer with all that news last night. JSU, tonight it should be a little easier on the show after everything that the newsmakers did to you last night. Man, they were just putting you through the ringer, huh?
Yeah, it was a rough scene. Rough scene for that show.
Yeah, it was almost like you just put every NBA player's name
like
in a blender.
Seriously, by the end of the show, my mind was like fried. Like I literally like it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. And we had baseball. We were juggling baseball too, but still, the news was just unreal.
We should have had the DJ Khaled gift pop up every time it happened. Another one. Just every time the news hit, we should have had it pop up on the screen.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with you, JSU. Best bet, side total or prop for G-Sauce also says it's 420. Maybe some of these players are going to be too high at game time, but your 420, blaze it up, pick of the day.
All right. Well, there's not that many games on this slate, so I'm going to give 2 bets.
Oh, I love it.
Screw it. Why not? So I'm giving 2. Both bets. You guys can ride the wave too if you want, but Clippers -7. Okay. Lock it in, and New Orleans -2.5 if you can find it still. I don't know if it's still up on the board.
At 2.5 on Bookmaker, but it's -113.
Okay, -2.5 if you can get it. I don't mind -3, but if you can get -2.5, obviously that's the best. So give me those 2 bets.
All right, Travis, what are you thinking for your best bet?
Yeah, so like JSU literally said the 2 that are my favorite, right? So we can just join forces today and it's a rare day, right? But it's only a 5-gamer. Me and JSU are going to join forces, and we both are Pelicans and Clippers. I'll be on the same bets as him. If you want to look at some props, an idea that I had, which maybe you guys can just kind of say if you think it's a good idea or not. But whenever I see a game that's kind of could be pretty lopsided, possibly with that Atlanta Orlando game, I sometimes like to look at some of these studs and just bet some of their unders, right? Like a Trae Young, a guy who's nursing an injury. There's just a lot of paths that it could go wrong. Like if a Bogdanovich gets going or any of these other players play really well, you could just see him yield to them. So maybe some Trae Young unders I wouldn't mind today. But that's something that I typically look at. It's whenever I look at props and I see that there's a lot of ways that something can go wrong, some outs. That's when I want to bet those unders or even the overs. I look for as many outs I can get. And I think that Trae Young unders could be pretty interesting today. I'd be curious what the full line is, because if you look, obviously he's struggled and the line may have adjusted a little bit down. So that would be annoying, but I think unders could be interesting on him.
All right. Well, I'm going to ride the streak going on in New York. I don't trust this Hornets team. I will lay the 5.5. With the New York Knicks, and hopefully I see Knicks Twitter going crazy tonight, and hopefully we can continue this streak. So, hey guys, it was a lot of fun. Did you want to let everyone know what you guys got going on over at Run Pure Sports this week?
Yeah, just like and subscribe to the video here at Run Pure Bets. That helps us out a ton, so we appreciate that. I'll be on the MLB show in about an hour and 45 with Big T. Draft Cheat. We'll be talking some baseball. Then we have all the shows today, right? We have NBA shows. We got JSU's final countdown. We have a PGA show later tonight at 8:30 on the Run Pure Sports channel. We have that Get Bets promo still going on, so be sure to get in on that. If you sign up for the DFS side, you get the bet side for a month for free, and the bet side has been on fire. I don't know the exact unit count right now. I know on the weekend they were up 17 units. I'm sure you guys have not lost all the 17 by now. I'm sure you're still up, but it's been a good time over at Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets, so don't miss out on all this stuff. JSU, did I cover it all?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much hit it all, right? And if you're not a member, make sure you become a member, get in the Discord, come hang out with us in the Discord, and it'll be a fun time. You know what I mean? We got winners dropping all day in the Discord from the DFS side, the bet side. So get over if you're not a member. Make sure you hit the like button, though. That's for sure, because the show's free, and Spread's pretty much doing it as many days per week as he can muster it up. So, appreciate that. Appreciate him for keep the winners rolling, right? It's not just us. It's all the guys, that he's rolling out there to try and bring on to give you guys some different perspectives. And, it's been a good show. It's been a fun year. I think last time all three of us were on the show, we went 3-0. So hopefully we can do it again, right?
Yeah. Yep. And Spread, just so you know, your Knicks bet is guaranteed to win because the New York fans, they sacrifice the Yankees so the Knicks can succeed. So you are in the clear. Knicks is a winner coming your way.
All right. Well, I hope so. Trying to go for my spreadsheet streak here. But I'm a little worried tonight would be 13, so we'll see if I can get lucky number 13. But it's been quite a nice run here for me and the Run Pure Bets subscribers. So, hopefully we can keep it going. JSU will be back tomorrow. I'll have maybe Title on Thursday. Haven't confirmed, but definitely Tyler and AP on Friday, and me and Tyler on Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Join the movement and run pure.